Hello, everyone. My name is Nancy Weeman. I'm the Deputy Administrator for Mental Health Services in Montgomery County, and I'm very happy to welcome you to the 32nd Annual Mental Health Luncheon in Montgomery County. We're going to start off the events today. I'm introducing Tom Spencer, who's the chairperson of the MHMR board, and he's going to do introductions and read a proclamation from the commissioners.
Thank you, Nancy. It's a pleasure to welcome all of you to the 32nd Annual Mental Health Luncheon, and I'm just amazed we can get this many people inside on such a beautiful day. Let me introduce to you those that are joining me here at the head table. To my far left, to your right, is Dr. Robert Caruso, who's a member of our Behavioral Health Developmental Disabilities Board and also chairs our Mental Health Committee. To Bob's right is Leanne Moyer, who's our Deputy Administrator for Behavioral Health. To my immediate left here is Eric Goldstein, Administrator of the Department of Behavioral Health and Developmental Disabilities. To my right is our guest speaker, Dr. Mark Salzer, who's the Director of the University of Pennsylvania's Collaborative for Community Integration. To Mark's right is Nancy Weeman, whom you've just met as the Deputy Mental Health Administrator. To Nancy's right is Pam Howard, who's our Director of Adult Mental Health Services. And to Pam's right is Judy Miller-Bucko, who is the wife of Dr. Miller and honors his memory and all that Dr. Miller Award represents by joining us again this year for our luncheon. Thank you. Unfortunately, our county commissioners could not join us today, but they did send along a proclamation which I would like to read and then present to Eric. And the proclamation reads as follows. It's the County of Montgomery Proclamation of Mental Health Month for May of 2009. Whereas mental health is critical for our well-being and the vitality of our families and communities, and whereas 1 in 5 American adults and children are affected by mental illness, regardless of age, gender, race, ethnicity, religion, or economic status, and whereas mental illnesses are the leading cause of disability in the United States, and whereas hope is the foundation upon which paths of recovery and resiliency are built, and through which it is possible for individuals with mental illness to lead full and productive lives. And whereas the Montgomery County Department of Behavioral Health, in partnership with private and community organizations, provides services to individuals and families whose lives are touched by mental illness to support them in living and working toward the life that they desire. And whereas on this special occasion of the 32nd Annual Mental Health Awards Luncheon, we recognize individuals, staff, and family members who have demonstrated dedication to promoting hope and wellness. Now therefore, we, the Commissioners of Montgomery County, do hereby proclaim the month of May Mental Health Month and ask all Montgomery County residents to join in the promotion of hope and the support of the initiatives and services that help individuals with mental illness achieve their fullest potential. All right.
Okay, thank you.
Just don't get too close up. Okay.
Thank you.
I also wanted to take a moment before everybody starts to eat to welcome some new guests to our mental health community. I think many of you in the audience know that Montgomery County applied for and received Pennsylvania Commission of Crime and Delinquency planning grant to develop a mental health court in this county. And if everything goes as we hope it will go, we should begin the court session sometime this summer, hopefully in July. But the process of getting the court developed has really been a wonderful experience. And from my perspective, I think one of the things that has been very, very hopeful and important about the development is that it has provided a wonderful opportunity for the criminal justice system and the community mental health system to come together. And as we have gone out to other counties to visit courts and to talk to people, I will just tell you that we are so fortunate here to have a group of people in the criminal justice system that the issue of whether this is a good thing to do or not is not an issue at all. The things that we are discussing are the important details of kind of how to structure the court. But the opportunity to provide a venue for people who have mental illness, who come in contact with the criminal justice system, and who need an opportunity to move back into the community in a supportive way has never been an issue. So I'm hoping that the mental health community will be very welcoming of Table 32, which is in the middle here. And I'd like to introduce to you President Judge Richard J. Hodson. Thank you. Judge Joseph A. Smythe. District Court Administrator Mike Case. Julio Algarin, Warden of Montgomery County Correctional Facility. Dennis Molyneux, the Deputy Warden at the Correctional Facility. Mike Gordon, Chief of Adult Probation. And Joan King, who has the consultant facilitator with our planning group. Welcome to the mental health community. Now enjoy your lunch. I think we're going to get started with our program this afternoon. We have a keynote address, and then we have our wonderful awards ceremony, and you know, we like to do things so that everybody can leave by around 2 o'clock, so I think if we start now, we'll be able to do that. So if people could get seated, I'm going to introduce our keynote speaker. Oh, wait a minute. Now, I will confess we forgot to write a bio for Mark. I've said I was just going to introduce him as a great guy that we work with, but Pam wrote down a few items, and he added to the list, so I will do a more formal introduction. Dr. Mark Salzer is the Director and Principal Investigator of the University of Pennsylvania Collaborative and is an Associate Professor in the Department of Psychiatry at the University of Pennsylvania School of Medicine. He is also an investigator with a research center based at the Philadelphia VA Medical Center. Dr. Salzer is a principal investigator in the National Institute for Disabilities and Rehabilitation Research and co-investigator in other funded efforts, including the Matrix Penn Rehabilitation Research Training Center in Serious Mental Illness. He is a faculty member and mentor in the NIDRR-funded University of Dentistry and Medicine in New Jersey postdoctoral training program. He's published more than 55 articles and books on topics including self-help groups, peer-delivered services, employment issues, and empowerment. And I will tell you, he's been wonderful to work with in Montgomery County around our initiatives on community integration. So I'm very pleased to introduce Dr. Mark Salzer.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. I want to say that it's a pleasure to be here with you this afternoon. I'm actually a Montgomery County resident, so I'm particularly pleased to be here for that reason. I'm pleased to be here to see so many individuals that I love to work with, that I've had the pleasure of working with since I moved to this area around 11 years ago. And I'm also pleased to be here because it allows me to say publicly how impressed I am to live in a county with individuals like Nancy who are thinking about things a couple years, 5, 10 years ahead of the curve, and to really let her know how much I value my opportunity to see what's happening here in Montgomery County and learn from that knowing that it's my home county. I'm right here, and I'm able to talk about what's going on here nationally when I talk about my work. So I think we can actually give Nancy and the county a little applause for their work here. I'm going to do something a little bit different this afternoon. I'm a researcher primarily. Usually I present research with slides and graphs and charts and numbers and t-tests and statistics, but I'm going to do something a little bit different. I also decided to use PowerPoint. I'm not PowerPoint dependent, but I decided to use that today to entertain you a little bit, hopefully, but also talk a little bit about the pursuit of happiness and encourage you to think about how we can best support people and provide opportunities for individuals in recovery to pursue happiness. Our southeastern Pennsylvania region is arguably the birthplace of our nation's tradition of valuing opportunities for all in their pursuit of happiness. King Charles II, there's William Penn up there. King Charles II signed a charter in 1681, making William Penn the proprietor of a swath of land west of the Delaware River and north of Maryland that he called Pennsylvania, which means forests of Penn in honor of William's father, Admiral Penn. William was convinced that religious tolerance was not possible in England. He came to America in 1682 in pursuit of religious freedom. He advocated equal rights for women and gave Pennsylvania a written constitution that limited the power of government, provided a humane penal code, and guaranteed several fundamental liberties. Penn had a major influence on the culture of our region that undoubtedly influenced the language used in two of the most important documents in our country, both signed in what is now known as Independence Hall, both of which proclaim liberty as a founding principle of the country. It is within this context that Thomas Jefferson was able to express in the Declaration of Independence what has essentially become our national motto: all men and women are created equal and have unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. So let's take a few minutes to talk about happiness. Psychology, my discipline, has historically focused on deviance and pathology in individuals and groups. We focus most on what goes wrong with people and how to fix it, rather than what goes right and how to make things better. This is a picture, the building on the left there, of the psychology building at the University of Illinois, where I received my doctoral degree. I spent many, many hours in that building. Most of those were happy moments, but not all of them. I got to know Dr. Happiness, Ed Diener, in this building. Ed is the gentleman on the right in this picture with the balloon of the smiley face there. Ed is a pioneer in the study of happiness and helped found a movement called positive psychology. He taught my research methods course, and in his dry, quirky, Dr. Happiness way, started the course by introducing us to the observational methods used by Carl von Frisch to understand how honeybees communicate. For example, Dr. Frisch identified the waggle dance, which is used by bees to show their peers where they can find food. So somehow, before video cameras, before we really had some of the technology we have now, he was able to observe these honeybees walk in a straight line, and then in the curve, they would do a little waggle. And it was that straight line relative to the sun that communicated to the other honeybees where the pollen is, where they could go find food. I admit embarrassing myself that day by commenting that von Frisch wasted his time in such pursuits. I thought studying bee behavior was funny. It turns out that von Frisch received a Nobel Prize for his work in animal communication. It also turned out, as we went around the room to introduce ourselves, that I really had stuck my foot in my mouth, as one of my classmates introduced himself as an entomologist, someone who studies insect behavior. I no longer make fun of anything anyone else does for a living based on that experience. Dr. Happiness in this research course used to always talk about how research needs to meet what he called the grandmother test. Basically, most research is of things, we're trying to understand things that are just common sense. And the study of happiness is one of those areas that he used as an example. Dr. Happiness and some of his colleagues have conducted research in this area and found that, among other things, happy people are more likely to get married, more likely to stay married and think their marriage is good, more likely to volunteer, more likely to be rated highly by their supervisor, more likely to make more money, so go ahead and get happy if you want to make more money, and more likely to live happier and live healthier and longer lives. So obviously, given these types of outcomes, it makes sense for us to promote happiness. No one particular thing has been found to predict happiness, but happy people tend to have the following attributes: lots of family and friends with deep relationships, lots of time spent with those friends. And in fact, one researcher has found that happiness, that friendships is more important to one's happiness than income, than the amount of income, and actually found that it took an increase of around $75,000 in income to make up for not having friends. Believe it or not, marriage has also been found to be associated with increased happiness. Marriage adds an average of 7 years to the life of a man and 4 for a woman. And I'm proud to say that today is my 15th wedding anniversary. So I'm hoping that I get some of those benefits, some of those extra years for a couple years to come at least. They've also found that having a meaning in life, a belief in something bigger than yourself, is also important for happiness. Religion, spirituality, philosophy of life. People who are happy also tend to have goals that they're working towards and that they find enjoyable. So those are the kinds of things that make people happy. The kinds of things that make us unhappy are poor health, separation from other people, losses, unemployment, and lack of social contact. And really, when I put these up here, I want you to also think not only about your life, but also people in recovery who are in our mental health systems. The relevance of this work to mental health practitioners was made clear in Marty Seligman's observation that mental health practitioners have traditionally seen health as the absence of illness, where interventions focus on moving people from a -5 to a 0, rather than supporting movement from a -5 to a +5 or +10, +15, etc. That is, we do not generally help people pursue happiness. My own education and training was moving me down the same illness reduction and stabilization focused path rather than one promoting well-being, quality of life, and happiness. However, 2 experiences significantly affected my thinking. After graduating from college, I worked as a psychiatric tech on an acute locked inpatient unit at a hospital connected to the Hennepin County Medical Center in Minneapolis. So that's Hennepin County on the left over there. My undergraduate training had already prepared me to focus on pathology and illness and view symptom reduction as the goal of my work. Within the first few days of my employment on this unit, I was confronted with my first crisis. I was assigned to work with a woman in her mid-20s who was only a few years older than me at the time, who had been admitted because of a suicide attempt. During my hourly rounds, I discovered her crying in her bed. Suffice it to say, my education and experience to that point had not prepared me for how I should respond. I could only think of depression, depressive symptoms, assessing for suicidal ideation and intent, and running out of the room to find one of my more experienced colleagues to deal with the situation. Probably more out of panic than wisdom, I decided to just sit in the room with her and listen. And this is what I heard. I didn't hear her talk about her woes of being a psychiatric patient who was depressed about her symptoms, about her diagnosis, as I had expected based on my training to that point. What she talked about was her fear of losing her job because of being hospitalized. She talked about her fears that her husband was getting sick of her depression and might leave her. She was talking about her family and friends being equally fed up with her experiences in rehospitalizations, and she was talking about things that she feared losing because of her depression, things that made her happy in her life. And this had a profound impact on me. I still remember it 20 years, a little more than 20 years later. The second experience I had was in my first year of graduate school at the University of Illinois when I was being taught how to be a clinical psychologist. This included courses on psychopathology and learning about various clinical techniques to treat mental illnesses. My mentor, Julian Rappaport, and that's a picture of him on the top right-hand corner, is a leading researcher in the area of self-help groups, and had developed a relationship with an organization called GROW that started in Australia more than 60 years ago and brought their approach to the US in the 1980s. And what GROW does is they establish self-help mutual aid groups for individuals primarily diagnosed with psychotic and affective disorders like schizophrenia, bipolar disorder, major depression, and they also had some residential programs. Julian suggested that I get to know GROW by attending and observing some of their group meetings and visiting their residential program. So there I was, by day, being trained to think about illness and mental illness and reducing symptoms through our treatment. And in the evenings, I would observe people in group meetings that another professor in my program referred to as 12 dunderheads who can't even get their own lives in order. How can they possibly help one another? These dunderheads, I soon learned, were more positive and hopeful than I had ever heard among my colleagues. I learned that the support provided in these groups was different from anything I could provide as a professional. And based on what I saw, support that was very helpful and made people happy. One day I visited GROW's residential program in Kankakee, Illinois, and that's the building on the right-hand side that's located just outside Chicago. It's similar to what we know of as CRRs, although run with a unique GROW approach. My experience on that visit was unlike any other experience I've ever had with a residential program. Program staff talked about mental health rather than diagnosis and mental illness. Mutual aid and empowerment were emphasized rather than dependency. And there was an aura of hopefulness and happiness. A friend of mine actually did his dissertation a couple years later and actually documented that the environment and atmosphere at that GROW residential facility differed significantly from the atmosphere present in traditional mental health programs. The GROW atmosphere was viewed as an atmosphere that would more likely promote recovery. These experiences have influenced my work on community integration and the importance of promoting opportunities for people to have full, meaningful lives in the community and be engaged in activities that make them happy. There's a small amount of research that has examined what people in recovery want in their lives. This research has consistently shown that people want the same things in their lives that make any of us happy: a good place to live, a job, and intimate relationships, among other things. What I decided to do for today's presentation is bring those findings a little bit closer to home. And I asked one of my staff to talk with people in recovery about what makes them happy and what would make them happier. This is something that I actually routinely do when I go to various programs and agencies when I talk to people. I wanted to thank Hedwig House, Milestones, and Central Montgomery Mental Health Center for their assistance with this, as well as Andrea Bilger from my center. So what kinds of things make people in recovery who live in Montgomery County happy? These are the kinds of things that they talked about: fishing, music, good book, communing with nature, a good movie, life, God, my friends, going to my parents' house, going to my brother's house, cooking, my residence, talking to people, drawing, hanging out with people, having a nephew, traveling, learning and donating blood, being around females, playing pool, weightlifting and playing basketball, reading and writing, playing my electric organ, going for walks and watching television, drinking iced tea and coffee, going for walks, cats, animals, and children. The way I'm living my life today by being productive and living in society. My parents, sex, family gatherings, naps, good food, my recovery, being around people, music, going out to eat, having friends around, music, and artwork. We also asked them what would make them happier, and again, these are the kinds of things that we might be able to support people in achieving. Better communication with my family, if I had a job, moving to a new residence to be closer to my brother, being with my family, having a steady relationship with someone, being in a relationship and losing some weight, socializing more, having a girlfriend, work more hours, have more money and be rich, having a permanent living situation without worrying, changing my living status and living on my own, staying clean, do better in my life and read the Bible, more money, better relationship with my mom, and more sex. Being in my own place, having a dog, have a girlfriend and have more money. Would like to have a wife, money, go out to eat, have a pet. And I think we can all relate to this last one. That's probably a little more of a fantasy than something they might achieve, but I think it's important and we can promote it anyway. Someone said that what would make them happier is to win the lottery, right? So I believe our mission, and I think the research would support this. I didn't want to make this a researchy presentation. But our mission really is to not only address illness and reduce symptoms in our work, but also provide opportunities for people to fully participate in activities like everyone else, activities that facilitate happiness. In closing, I'm going to return to our region's history and culture and our legacy here in this area of promoting opportunity. And I'll remind everyone that Benjamin Franklin escaped the oppressive puritanical Boston area and came to Philadelphia in order to pursue happiness. Of course, I have to slam that Boston area. You know, they have their Super Bowls. Before last year, they had won their World Series, but we've caught up now. But Ben Franklin came here. He noticed something good was going on and came here for opportunities. I'll also point out that Vince Papali in our neighboring Delaware County was given an opportunity to live his dream of becoming a professional football player and ended up with Marky Mark playing him in a popular movie. Marky Mark on the right-hand side there, and this is obviously Invincible. Finally, Rocky has come to symbolize our region. What you can't see at the very top of this poster for the movie that came out in '76 was it says his whole life was 1,000,000 to 1 shot. Okay, and just think about that. Sometimes when people talk about individuals in recovery, sometimes they think things are long shots and we shouldn't give opportunities. But Rocky was given a shot and he achieved his dreams. And what I want to remind us all that just like Rocky, with the right opportunities, everyone can be like Rocky and possibly achieve happiness. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much. That was fun. The next part of our luncheon is to give out the awards, and I think what we're going to do is start with the Children's Awards, then have the Adult CSP Awards, and then have the Dr. Miller Awards. So those individuals who are going to be giving the Children's Awards, would you please come up, and then we can start oh, you're already here. Hello.
When you hear your name, please come to the front as we read your recognition. Jessica Curtis. Jessica has a passion for educating the community about autism. Although only 17, Jessica already has several years of organizing and advocacy work to her credit. She has been able to compile a variety of resources and establish a network of contacts around the needs and interventions associated with autism. With the support of her mother, Sharon, Jessica has organized a dinner focusing on raising autism awareness, engaging in fundraising for the Autism Society of America, and arranging for a keynote speaker from a local autism organization. Jessica's commitment to the entire autism community highlights not only her leadership abilities, but her caring and compassion as well.
The second award goes to Brian Newhouser and his family. After working relentlessly to overcome much adversity in late childhood, Brian Newhouser returned to the Tourette's community as an advocate and spokesperson. He assisted Voice and Vision Incorporated, a Bucks County consumer advocacy group, by sharing his story and experiences. Brian regularly attends several conferences, including the PA Tourette's Foundation Conference, as well as a yearly visit to Harrisburg to advocate for Tourette's syndrome awareness. Brian shares his story of how he learned to manage stress and express his emotions, strategies that have allowed him to reconnect with his friends and family, become an active athlete, and develop hobbies such as participating in Jewish education classes, cooking, and caring for his guinea pig. Brian's family has supported his growth and recovery through their diligent work to ensure that he receives the best possible care, active participation in Brian's advocacy work, and their commitment to educating the public about Tourette's syndrome.
Rosalind Ditmar. Rosalind Ditmar is employed as the fiscal supervisor for the Montgomery County Juvenile Probation Department. Through this position, Rosalind works tirelessly to find appropriate placements for the Juvenile Probation Department youth who have mental health needs. She is expert and diligent in navigating through the system of helping juveniles get necessary treatment while maximizing their benefits in the health choices system. When a case reaches a point where most people would feel frustrated and as if nothing more can be done, this is when Rosalind is at her best. She never gives up, deeply cares about the youth she serves, and is an invaluable asset to the juvenile justice system.
Central MHMR Child and Transitional Case Management Department. Each member of the Child and Transitional Case Management team has gone above and beyond to empower not just those individuals they work with, but their families and communities as well. By embracing the CASP principles, this team has been able to serve the unique needs of youth involved with mental health services. The team has worked tirelessly to provide opportunities for youth to showcase their talents, build friendships, and share stories of success.
The next award goes to Tony Scalise. Tony Scalise, a case manager with Magellan, has earned the reputation of being not only warm and polite, but fiercely dedicated to meeting the needs of the children and families he serves. His knowledge and ability to navigate the children's behavioral health system has allowed him to be a valuable advocate for those individuals with whom he works. Those who know Tony are aware that whenever he is called upon to help a child, family, co-worker, or provider, he can be counted on to go above and beyond and work tirelessly toward a successful outcome.
Jordan Weissman. Dr. Weissman is the director of a specialized family-based services team, co-chair of the Children's Provider Advisory Committee, and an avid supporter of several resiliency initiatives. Through his determination, compassion, and talent, Dr. Weissman has become a valuable presence in Montgomery County. He has demonstrated his commitment to healing, hope, and resiliency through his dedicated work with youth who have experienced great trauma.
Our final Children's Award goes to Central Montgomery MHMR Preschool Intervention Program. The preschool intervention program has been a cornerstone of the Montgomery County community for the past 30-plus years, responding to the individual needs of children ages 3 to 5 by offering a range of specialized therapeutic services. The integrated treatment team includes the family, a child psychiatrist, a clinical coordinator, group and individual therapists, as well as other trained professionals. PIP has worked to foster creativity, hope, and resiliency in children and families through collaborative relationships, a focus on providing meaningful volunteer opportunities, and a commitment to family and community.
Okay, here we go. This Community Support Program Award goes to Brian Barber. Brian is involved in the mental health system through his role at Central, where he is respected by others for his warm and engaging manner. Not only is he a skilled therapist, but Brian is recognized for his creativity, expressiveness, and his understanding of the unique qualities and individual experiences of each individual's recovery journey. Brian is a dedicated advocate for those he serves, supporting the ideals of recovery through his caring and empathetic demeanor. This Community Support Program Award goes to Shirley Kresge. Shirley has been a faithful volunteer at Fortnighters for over 20 years. She shows endless dedication and compassion for members, visiting with individuals at their home and helping with groceries. Shirley is a beloved staple at the monthly bingo night, where she enlists the help of her family to play, laugh, and encourage friendly competition. In any setting, Shirley exhibits a warmth and a sense of empathy that helps to empower others by bringing out their strengths. She provides an insight and understanding for what it means to strive for a meaningful life. Kenneth Peterson. Kenny Peterson has been a peer specialist at the Montgomery County Peer Resource Center for 5 years. Kenny's personality is summed up by his boyhood nickname, Happy. Whether it's resources, a supportive someone to talk to, Kenny interacts with everyone in a respectful and courteous manner. An example of Kenny's contribution to folks was when participants were asking for a Thanksgiving Day dinner, and there were no funds for this. So Kenny organized a donation rally, which produced gifts from neighboring businesses and private providers, which gave us an unbelievable Thanksgiving Day dinner. Kenny had everyone, from family members to participants, who resided in the upstairs, halfway their apartments, cooking turkeys and trimmings, and they were really good. This is but one example of how Kenny goes above and beyond to create nice opportunities for people to create community. And he's a big teddy bear. You're welcome. This Mental Health Recognition Award goes to Gail Beidler. Gail has been an invaluable contributor to the field for over 3 decades. Her commitment to others goes far beyond what her job demands. Gail has shown her dedication to empowering and improving the lives of others through her career as a clinical social worker, her active participation in NAMI, and her role as a facilitator for support groups for families for over 10 years. Let's get this party started. This Mental Health Recognition Award goes to the Community Advocates team. As a dedicated team of individuals, the staff of the Community Advocates have been involved in activities to promote fairness and self-empowerment throughout Montgomery County. The dynamic combination of Caroline's curiosity and empathy, Anthony's compassion and dedication, and Ellen's sensitivity and caring nature, along with a collective spirit and tenacity, has made this group an integral force of advocacy in the county. The staff bring with them a diverse array of personal and professional experiences that allow them to not only be understanding but extremely successful in their advocacy efforts. Woohoo! This Mental Health Recognition Award, it's a shame nobody really likes them, goes to Michelle Goff. Michelle has been a dedicated and tireless worker for consumer satisfaction team for almost 10 years, where she has been asked to be a team leader and chairs the CST Personnel Committee. She has also been elected for several years as co-chair of the Community Support Program, CSP. In this role, she has demonstrated patience and the kind of guidance that can only come from a true leader. Michelle brings insight and fresh ideas to all that she does. She is committed to her family, her friends, and those she serves. On top of everything, hey, you're running away too quick. Michelle exhibits a gentle sweetness that is obvious to those around her. This Mental Health Recognition Award goes to Nick Grilly. Nick is known throughout the community for his sense of humor and the joy he gets from helping others, also for the great hair he always has. He has survived and thrived in the face of adversity, never giving up hope or losing his friendly, caring, and compassionate nature. Nick is hardworking and for the past 2 years has been a steady and reliable employee of CST. He has developed a strong network of friends and is revered. I was going to say reversed. He is revered by those who know him for being an amazing cook. All right. Good job, Nick. This Mental Health Recognition Award goes to May Harden. May was a student in the first Power Program class and is now studying for a degree in human services. Not one to stop there, her educational goals and aspirations are far-reaching, taking her to Chestnut Hill College this fall, where she will pursue a bachelor's degree. The individuals associated with the Power Program were so impressed with May's style and leadership abilities that she was hired as a mentor responsible for advising individuals, tutoring, crisis intervention, and providing peer support. May is truly an inspiration to others. This Mental Health Recognition Award goes to Robert Lowry. Robert has served as a role model and mentor to those he has met at the Penn Foundation ACT team. He exemplifies a true survivor who has persevered through many barriers and challenges. Robert volunteers in his community's food cupboard, tutors local youth, and is active in the Pottstown YMCA. Robert's dedication and motivation towards his personal progress really make him an important example of recovery and empowerment. He has demonstrated a strong commitment to his family. Robert is determined to show others that if they follow their heart, anything is possible. Now I want you to notice the next person's right sleeve when she comes up here. This mental health, and I want to be just like her when I grow up. This Mental Health Recognition Award goes to Peggy McElhaney. Peggy has devoted her career to working with people with mental health challenges. She models relationships with people that fostered growth and change. Peggy continually challenges herself to act in ways, along with the people she works with, that are in line with her values. She is a natural leader who is not afraid to speak her mind, while at the same time maintaining the utmost respect for others and a mindfulness of how she may be heard. For Peggy, recovery is a way of life that involves commitment, advocacy, and personal courage. Thanks, Peggy. This Mental Health Recognition Award goes to Dr. David Rakow. Dr. Rakow, an inspiring leader at Lower Merion Counseling Services, can best be described by his gentle guidance and deep understanding of people. For years, he has been a strong advocate for community mental health in the psychiatric community. He is open-minded and interested in learning about new options. Dr. Rakow is a careful listener who is skilled at helping people find dignity in the moments of hardship. He is kind, caring, and available, as evidenced by a phrase he is often heard saying, "Just call me if you need me." This Mental Health Recognition Award goes to Deb Reber. During her time as a nurse at Creative Health, Deb has shown amazing flexibility and accessibility to assist those she supports. Deb consistently goes beyond the expected and is a fierce advocate for the individuals, especially around the often complicated issue of medication and insurance. Deb exhibits great creativity and resolution in her ability to adapt to rapidly changing situations. Above all, Deb brings with her a general sense of hope and joy that endears her to those she meets.
Good job, Maureen. Now, where are my papers? Okay. Okay. The next award, for those of you who are with us the first time, is the Dr. Miller Award. And that award is actually a surprise to the person that is going to receive it. But before I read about the award and then have Judy introduce the award, I just would like to say thanks to Hedwig House, which is a clubhouse in Montgomery County, for the flowers on the table and the wonderful display of flowers here. The Norristown High School students and John Doyle for donating their time and services to record and project this year's luncheon. To all the individuals that assisted in choosing this year's awards winner, if you could stand so we could give you a hand also. There were committees that helped to do this work. And then I would like to give a special thanks to staff in the county office. Vera Zanders, who organized her pregnancy around the plan and the luncheon and is due to have a baby in July. So thank you, Vera, for that good plan. Linda Feliciani, our administrative assistant. Megan Perillo. Pam Howard, who admittedly only brought pencils to the luncheon. Claudia and Robin for all the activity around the Children's Art Project, Stacy and Tom, and the Education Subcommittee of the Mental Health Committee. A big hand for those of you who did all this work. And then just so before you leave, if people can keep in mind that the centerpiece on the table can go to the person that has an index card with a sticker under their plate. So. Now everybody's distracted. Okay. So did you find it? Okay. Okay. Okay, why don't we move on now to the Dr. Miller Award. The Dr. H. Miller Award was established in 1992 by the Mental Health Committee to recognize individuals who have contributed to serving persons with serious and persistent mental illness in Montgomery County. Dr. Miller was a graduate of Hahnemann Medical College. He served in the United States Navy as a medical officer, and he completed his residency at Norristown State Hospital from 1968 to 1976. And joined the staff at Central Montgomery MHR Center in 1976. He was medical director there from 1978 until his death in 1992. The best way to understand the essence of this award is to let notes from his colleagues speak about him. He was the heart and soul of Central for over 20 years. He was always a sensitive and caring psychiatrist, a perceptive and clear-thinking administrator, and a gifted teacher. It is not an exaggeration to say that he cared for and was beloved by thousands of people that he served throughout the county. By example, he taught staff to keep in mind the vulnerability of the people that we serve and the underlying hurts that people feel. He was an unassuming and clear-headed administrator. His legacy of kindness and commitment was a gift to Montgomery County. It is in the spirit of this gift that the award was established. I'd like to introduce Judy Bucko Miller, Bucko, whatever, to give the award.
Things are looking up. I can do this without crying, I think. Thank you to the committee for allowing me this honor every year. It is certainly the best way I can think of to remember Bob. Now I'll go on. This year's Dr. Miller Award winner has dedicated her life to helping people who experience mental illness to inspire, to attain their hopes and dreams, to overcome stigma, to lead fulfilling lives, and to have fun. Emphasis on fun. Her career spans 3 decades and includes experience in both inpatient and community settings, a master's degree in human services, and tireless advocacy for honoring the dignity of individuals. She has a caring and compassionate nature that drives her to offer support to countless people. She goes above and beyond to ensure that their basic needs are met. She has a way of making people feel welcome, and her wonderful smile and great sense of humor, her energy and passion can inspire. It also can make you want to fight with her 1 minute and hug her the next. In her current role, she supported the development of an agency in its early stage, nurtured its expansion, all the while encouraging her staff to play a very active and essential part of the recovery transformation in Montgomery County. She created employment opportunities for many individuals who had not worked in well over a decade. She fosters peer support and in so doing promotes self-esteem and dignity. She created a flexible working environment with a strong team atmosphere and exuberant employee pride. She has been instrumental in working to ensure that individuals who receive services have a strong voice within this county. This valuable input continues to help shape our behavioral health system. This year's award recipient has been an active participant of the CSP Committee, the Service Area Plan Committee, and multiple other committees through which he provides feedback for systemic change. Her support of the CSP Committee has assisted Montgomery County in developing one of the most dynamic committees across this state. She is a member of the Behavioral Health Developmental Disabilities Board, and I am told that anyone who has participated in these committees and boards she killed it. Yeah, you killed it. You're supposed to be humble. Well, obviously, no one can rock a meeting quite like she can. Please join me in acknowledging and welcoming this year's Dr. Miller Award winner, Sandy Watson.
You're not supposed to talk, but I'm going to talk.
Oh, no.
I turned to our board president and I said, "Who the hell is that?" Thank you. I am humbled. I am humbled every day that I work in this county. Oh my God, I'm so shocked. I am so shocked. I can't believe I was so slow. This means back to therapy so that I get to know myself. Thank you. This is a wonderful county with wonderful people. CST Community Advocates, every consumer in this county, I can't tell you how much I love you. We got to keep fighting, though, for everything that we want. Woo, Brian!
Thank you.
Where's those horns that we bought? I didn't hear the horn.
Well, I feel like asking this question that I'm reluctant to because it seems like I might be kidding, but I'm not. Is everybody happy? I hope so. The pursuit of happiness is something that I think we all feel. 900 or 800 people, whatever it is that are here right now, I think we all think that and feel that's the most important goal for us, is to be happy, is to have a life, is to travel onward through time, feeling like we're a part of something. And there's nobody out there right now that isn't a part of our community. I see a gentleman standing up with his arms raised, and I say, same thing. This community needs to go onward. These aren't the easiest times for funds and monies and everything, but in the end, it's not about funds and monies. It's about how people relate to each other. So I want to say one more thing. I've been the closing remarks at 3 events recently where somebody's come up afterwards and talked for 10 minutes. So I don't know that I'm the closing remarks, but I'm going to act like I am and say thank you very much and see you next year. Thank you.